If anybody misuses his right, he will lose it. He will lose it. That's why if the person misuses this right by, like some parents, they know that they have to be obeyed, and they use this as a weapon against their children. So every single thing, when her son or her daughter do anything, you know what? You have to obey me. How will you disobey me? I'm going to be angry at you. Allah will be angry at you until the day of judgment. So they start using this even for personal things and a very small little things, and they keep using it. Indeed, when a person do that, what happened? The person will lose his child respect, and that's misusing your rights, And if it reaches to the level that the person will ask to be obeyed in things which is Islamically not correct, or you know that it will be harmful to you, in this case you have the right not to obey them in. If this is said, there is something related to this issue, obeying. What about marriage issue? In Islam, it's a very, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, لا زواج إلا بولي. That a female cannot be giving herself into marriage without her wali's or her father permission. And that, according to the vast majority of the Muslim scholars and according to the authentic evidence, it is must. Without it, the contract will not be valid. Would not be valid. Like what if there's a dispute? The father said, I don't want you to marry this man. And she said, I want to marry this man. If she found out that the father misusing his rights, he just saying that for another personal references, or because he is, like I know unfortunately some fathers, they did not let their daughters get married because she works and she brings income to the house. And he doesn't want her to work to get married, so he will lose that income. Believe it or not. In a case like this, or somebody would say, you know what, I don't want you to marry this person because he is white or black or rich or on a thing. When there is a dispute happen, in this case we said that will be taken to somebody to solve this dispute. But if he has a valid reason to express his opinion, obeying him will be wajib in this case, will be wajib, mandatory in this case. And this is very clearly stated by great companions like Ibn Mas'ud, Ibn Abbas, Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, Aisha radiallahu anha, and others. But what about men? What about sons? What if your parents doesn't want you to get married to this girl that you want? Do you have to obey them? Do you have to obey them? We say yes, that generally speaking, yes. Obey. The same rule apply. But here we'll say, is the contract valid or not valid? The contract will be valid even if they disapprove it. But do you have to obey them? Yes, you have to obey them and to deal with them. And in this regard, I always advise my brothers and sisters that before you go into marriage, especially people who are part of a very strong culture which is see the family as it's the corner of the structure of the society. If they have very strong, close relationship, when you marry somebody, it's not a relationship between a man and woman only. It's a relationship between two families coming together. So make sure that you understand this very well. You go against their will today, you bring her tomorrow. It's not going to be easy life later on. And that's why we said, yes, if they don't approve it, originally we say you listen to your parents and try to talk to them, convince them, and so on. Exceptions, there's exceptions, but I'm not going to talk about exceptions. But you have to understand, to value the opinions also of your parents. But what if I'm already married, like the case we just earlier mentioned? Do I have to obey them to divorce my wife? And Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, man came to him and he said, my father ordered me to divorce my wife. He said, don't divorce her. Don't listen to him. He said, how come? Imam Ahmad, you are a great imam, great scholars, you follow the sunnah. Didn't Ibn Umar, the son of Umar al-Khattab, his father told him, divorce your wife, and he did. He obeyed his father. Then Imam Ahmad told him, if your father like Umar, obey him. If your father in the same level of the righteousness of Umar. Because Umar wouldn't say that to his son unless he sees really something not good in this woman, and he doesn't want her to be his son's wife because of that. So in this case, we would say, unfortunately, sometimes some parents, they just ask their daughter or their sons to divorce their wives or their husbands over a silly reason sometimes, or no valid reasons. One of the rights, beside obeying them, one of the rights is to support them financially. Support them financially. And that's why you're not allowed to give them from the zakat, the mandatory donation that you give every year from your wealth. You're not allowed to give them from your zakat. That's why the scholar said also you don't give them loans. Like let's say there is somebody give his father gave him from a loan, and the son died or the father died. Is he in debt? He has to pay this money? No. It's not a debt, because you don't give your father a loan. Because the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, أَنْتَ وَمَالُكَ لِأَبِيكَ. You and whatever you possess from wealth belong to your father. That's why the father, if he walk into somebody, his own son or his daughter's money, and he take from her, even without her permission, it will not be considered a crime. That if it go to the judge who said this is stealing. A father will not steal from his son. A mother will not steal from her daughter or her son. It will never be in an Islamic court considered stealing. Consider stealing, because the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, "Anta wa maluka li abik." You and whatever you possess belong to your father. Also, one of the rights in Islam that parents must be treated with respect. You have to be kind to them, and it's not something you should, or it's voluntarily. No, it is wajib, mandatory. And guess what? It is one of the most important obligations in Islam. One of the most important obligations in Islam. Actually, if you look at anyone who tried to define what Islam is in the early time, like when the Muslim went to Abyssinia, the king of Abyssinia said, what is Islam is about? And when the Romans, Caesar, asked Abu Sufyan, what is this religion is about? When they asked the Romans, the king of Egypt in that time, in Muqawqas, when he asked Amr ibn al-As, he said, what is this religion is about? When even the leaders of the tribe in Arabia will ask anyone, what is this prophet, what is he calling people for? What is this religion is about? You look at it, in all references, in all these incidents, the answer starts like this. It says that this prophet, this message, this religion is about worshipping Allah alone and not to associate other with him in the act of worship, and to be good to your parents, and to be good to your relatives, to be good to your neighbors, and so on. So this is one of the most highly regarded obligations in Islam. It's not something you're doing something, okay, it's like, I'm doing something good, and you recommend. No, it is something obligatory on you, and it's something that is very valuable in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's eyes. If I would ask any one of you today, I want you to imagine yourself in Medina 1,400 years ago. Not in Medina, in Arabia. Okay? Where would you like to be? In which city? Let's imagine you living in Yemen, living in Egypt, living in Mecca. Which city would you like to live in that time?
Medina.
Medina? Who said Medina? Good. Why?
Reason, you can see prophets.
Because the Prophet Muhammad is there. Anybody disagree? Anybody believe in Muhammad would say yes, absolutely. There is nothing better than being with the Prophet himself, with the Messenger of Allah, being in his company, to be a companion, to be Sahabi. What's better than that? And I just want you to imagine that. Imagine yourself in that situation. Just to understand, to value the concept we're talking about today.